Success Show with your business coach, Macattram, and today you are in for a treat. I am in conversation with Timi Orosz, and we're going to learn more about her, the work she does. But before I bring her up here for her to speak, I want to say Timi is an impact strategist, and she's a game changer. She helps purpose-driven business owners to really scale up, make more money, have a better lifestyle, and live authentically even more. So Timi, welcome to the Business Success Show.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you and ready to share a lot of my insights as well with your listeners and the viewers. So let's get this baby going.
Exactly. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate that. Today, you're a business mentor. You help
Yes.
people who are spiritual, purpose-driven, want to make an impact to this world. But some of my readings about you was you were a CEO at the age of 30 years of age, right? Running a corporate company. And by the age of 32, you were burned out. What happened?
Yeah, I think it happened to quite a few people, and I'm sure that maybe what I'm about to share, many of you can relate to at least some part of my journey. Because what happened that I made this goal for myself that I really wanted to run a company and be in that position that I can really stretch myself and create value for an entire team. And that was my goal back then. This was back in 2015 when I worked with a coach. To help me figure out what I want to do with my career. So I wrote this goal down that I really want to lead a company, to become a CEO, because I was driven by the sort of ego driven goals. And then I thought, this is going to look good for me. This is great on paper for my career. So I didn't really put the real why behind it. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons why I ended up burning out, even though I loved the entire journey of it and the whole experience. So when the opportunity came and I was offered the CEO position, it was for a brand new hotel. I was there from the beginning to build everything up from scratch, the team, the infrastructure, the processes. So it was a lot of fun, and I could see the results of the work as well fairly quickly. But during that process, I somehow ended up focusing too much on this new persona that I built up, and I thought I had to pretend to be this strong businesswoman who's calling the shots and making these decisions, and when negotiating with lawyers or different suppliers. So I didn't really realize that I could just be myself in business, and I could still be the strong, confident leader I am today without pretending to be someone that I'm not. And that
So
was
let
one
me
of the
ask you
reasons
this.
that, yeah.
Let me ask you this. You burned out, and at that moment, my reading was that I think you went to Sri Lanka and took time
I
out,
did.
3 months in the jungle, 3 months in the forest. Was that what happened?
Yeah,
Why
absolutely.
why
Because
Sri
one day,
Lanka
one day
and
I just
why?
woke up.
Go on.
It could have been anywhere else. I think when you reach that point when you are really not sure anymore, what is it that you want in your career, and just you feel like extremely exhausted, and you just feel like something is missing, even though that things looked great on paper. One day I just woke up and I realized, okay, I need to stop. I need to make a change. And I knew that the direction I was walking right into was going completely against my real self. So the next morning I went actually and had a conversation with the rest of the group, and I told them that I'm sorry, but I need to quit. I don't know why. I can't really explain it logically, but I just know that I have to go into a different direction and find a different path that is going to feel more aligned. So within a few months, I literally got rid of everything that I had. I passed on the operations as well, and I left the country. I was living in Malta at the time. It's a small country in the the Mediterranean Sea. And I wanted to go way far. That was the decision that I knew that I just
Really
need to
far.
go really far, really far. And I wanted to put myself into an environment that was very different to what I was experiencing up until that point. And that was my proper first time being out of Europe as well. And I really felt that I needed a massive cultural change as well, to be around me, to see different cultures, to see different environments, so I can start shifting things in my own mind to help me understand what is the more aligned or more suitable way for me to live my life in general. And business is a big part of my life. So that's how Sri Lanka came to me. It was something that just popped up really randomly one morning. I was like, okay, it's going to be Sri Lanka. So I bought the ticket, not knowing what's going to happen. And I just went there with a backpack completely on my own. And did the sort of initially I did the typical finding yourself walks and trying to explore things, and I went back to Europe for a little bit, and I still felt that something was
So
still
hold
I
on.
still
Let me rewind for a moment. You're in Sri Lanka. You don't know anybody.
yeah.
You traipse through the jungle. You're backpacking. You're doing all of that thing. What? So in the midst where you don't know anybody, and it is remote, and you are taking care of yourself. What was the biggest lesson for you in that remote environment? What's the biggest thing you learned in that environment for 3 months?
The biggest thing was probably that you need to be so open to receive new connections into your life, because I met with so many amazing people during those months. And the only reason I had the opportunity to meet with these people is because I was open to start conversations with certain people, maybe other travelers, the locals, or just people that showed up
Mm.
along those weeks and those months. And I think people have this power to really give you that kick in the butt, or that motivation that you need, or just to help you
Mm.
see things from a very different perspective. And I probably learned more about myself and just in general about life during those short months, while I was allowing these conversations to come to me. And I truly believe that us as humans, we have this potential to support one another when we really create space to pay attention to the other person and what they are trying to tell us, or just being there and listening to them. So if I had to pick just one thing out of the so many that I learned through there, it probably would need to come down to people and that power of building connections, genuine and real connections, without any expecting anything back in return, and just
Wow.
being there for one another, if that makes
Wow.
sense.
Absolutely. Connecting with others, realize that we are not on this planet alone. We're connected to each other.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I get it. And that's fantastic. So now you now come back to Europe. You've had
Yeah.
these 3 months of really chilled out, connecting with people, living in nature, eating fresh nutritional food because it's just there. You
Yes.
don't have to go to a
It was amazing.
supermarket. So now you're back in Europe. Then what happened?
What happened that I thought that I figured out what I wanted to do, and then a few months later turned out I still didn't. And first, I felt that it was a bit of a something stirring within me. I don't know what's the best way to describe it, but I really felt that I was changing as a person internally so
Hmm.
rapidly that I couldn't really understand anymore who am I. I just felt that something is changing. And I was back in Europe, and I moved to Barcelona in Spain at a time, and I took on a job as a marketing and sales director that felt that this is more in line with what I wanted to do, serving the student community and helping them travel as well to open their mindset. So I felt that was something more genuine. And that was this little voice still nugging me and still telling me that there's more to this. There's something else you should be doing. And even though I wasn't completely wasting my potential and I was happy, in general, everything was great. But that little something that
Mhm.
keeps telling you that there's something more out there, like you're still
Right.
not doing it. This is still not it. So in early 2020, that was January, that's when I started reflecting and really trying to put things into perspective. And I said, okay, I'm coming back to the same circle that I did before when I quit my job, when I
Yeah.
burnt out. And I realized that pattern coming back to repeat in my career. And I said, okay, either I carry on and doing this for the rest of my life, or I do something again now to shake things up a little bit. So I pulled the rug under my feet and I quit that job, even though it was a great job, great opportunity. And I said, I need to do something for myself. I need to put my own ideas out there, and I need to bring my love for spiritual development and my love for building businesses together. And that's going to be the only way for me personally to be able to be my authentic self in my career and at work. And it took me a long time to figure this one out. When it finally hit, it really felt like a bit of a breakthrough moment or an epiphany, that something just bursts wide open in your brain somehow, and you finally get that level of clarity that I haven't actually got until that point. So that was a time when I actually started my business, and I realized that I need to be focusing on working only with people who are driven by making a positive impact, businesses that are here to help humanity become better, to help societies become better, and just creating positive value instead of just selling any products or services just for the profit or just for scaling. So
you know, I get it, and Timmy, you mentioned the word authenticity. Now, what does authenticity mean when it comes to business?
it means that you don't have to pretend to be anyone else, that you actually are. And that's probably the easiest way of explaining it, because I think for many years, especially within the business world, when someone is in sort of senior positions, people are expecting you to behave in certain ways. There are so many, I think, educational materials out there that have been teaching us that this is the 5 levels of leadership. This is the X methods of your sales technique. And none of that was really telling you that what you need to be doing instead is, yes, you can follow some strategies and follow some sort of guidance, but where are you in that process? Like, what makes you in that process? And when you are thinking about authenticity and businesses, I think that's going to be the biggest aspect you need to really figure out. How can I bring my real self into my day-to-day activities without pretending to be someone that I'm not? Then how can I choose my client base to be able to speak with them as I'm speaking with my friends? How can I create my marketing in a way that genuinely sounds like me, and not just a quick I call it like the bro marketing hack, and like, you have to do this, and like, I don't know, you have got 10 minutes to left to change your life, like that sort of pressuring techniques. And if you are able to sit back for a second and look at your business and try to understand, like, how does my business reflect who I am really deeply within? What is that sort of energy that drives me? How does that look like in my business? Is it coming across? Is my individual purpose and that mission that you have in you, is that coming across in your customer service? Is that coming across in how you manage your teams, or how you choose suppliers or contractors? So you can do a quick self audit on that.
Yeah, no, that's great. Some great information, by the way. And one thing I was going to ask you is the fact that at some point in your life you were being inauthentic in terms of who you are. Do you think that's what led you to your burnout at the age of 32, or was it something else?
It was definitely the massive player. The massive part of that was feeling like that I just couldn't be myself anymore in a job that I actually loved. And I really loved the job itself. I loved the team that I was running. I loved the industry that I was in as well. Yet I just felt that because I couldn't, I don't know, talk about energy or spirituality or these kind of things that I really love talking about, or mindset shifts in my work environment. Because if I went into a meeting, I couldn't start having a conversation about the human consciousness and things like that. I had to have those, business small talks like, how's the weather and, the economy, and it was slowly killing me inside day by day. And I didn't even realize it. And I didn't realize that that was the biggest reason of my burnout, only after I've done about a year or 2 years of reflecting and trying to connect the dots to understand what actually happened. So yeah, when you cannot be your true self in your business or in your work, it's definitely going to have some negative impact on you. In my case, it led to a full-on burnout.
Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for being so transparent and open in telling us that, because I think there are people who may be going through it, maybe going through some element of depression, maybe going through some element of things are not working and they can't figure out, they don't know. So by sharing your story, that actually if you're not being yourself, you're not being real, it will catch up with you. And leading from that, Timi, one of the questions I had for you was this. We've got people listening in from all over the world, and maybe they've started their business already. They've been running their business for many years. Maybe things are not going so right. They've just heard you talk about authenticity, mission, purpose. How can a business owner define what their true business or personal purpose or mission is, so they can be more authentic to that?
That's a really valid question, because usually that's what causes the confusion in someone's business and their relation to their own business, is not understanding what is the reason why I'm really doing this.
Mm.
And if someone is not fully aware of how can I bring my true inner purpose and mission into my business, and if you don't know what the answer to that, you need to really take a step back of understanding what your business does, who is it for, and how does it create any sort of positive impact around you, either for your customers, for your teams, for the community or the environment, or anything on a global scale. So I always recommend creating something what I call is an impact statement, which is actually a really cool exercise. It's a bit of a digging into understanding what really drives you on a personal level and how you can translate that into your business service. And the formula that I recommend doing is really defining those non-negotiable values that you have as an individual, and really
Mm.
understand what are the things that you would fight for. That's probably the easiest to try to understand. What are the things that make you feel upset because you feel it's not fair or there's injustice around it? Those are clear indicators to know that you feel passionate about those things, and you need to start bringing that somehow step by step into your business as well. So for example, if someone feels really passionate about, I don't know, people not getting their voices heard, and then they create podcasts, for example, to make
Mm.
sure that they are getting people heard so they can share their own truths and then their own experiences. That could be a way of digging back into what is the real impact I'm creating with the business. Like in a simple example, as I brought up the podcast, because that's what we are doing right now. So I'm not picking on you, Mac. I'm
No
just bringing
problem.
this example. So if someone is running a podcast, for example, that then you know that it's not just about getting the exposure, it's not just about having those conversations or giving tips, but putting people out there, connecting those people as well, connecting the audiences with your guests. So you can really dig a layer deeper into understanding what is the bigger picture here. How does my business make a positive impact? What can I start communicating in my marketing, in my business, that by choosing us as a customer or as a partner, you are contributing to creating this positive impact with
Mm.
us together. And that goes back to the beginning of our conversation, people. And everyone has to be connected in some ways, and business is no different. So you need to be finding ways how you can connect with your people, either your customers or your teams or your partnerships as well.
Awesome. You know, one of the things that I've heard many people talk about, which I do agree with, by the way, is that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, as coaches, as consultants, doesn't matter. We are spiritual beings having a physical experience. Talk to us about that. For those who haven't thought about that and may be thinking, what does that actually mean?
Yeah, it's I could talk about it for, I don't know, probably the whole day, but I try to give you the shortest version of that. So definitely when you look at things, that how you live your life on in this physical form and on this planet, doesn't matter what you believe in, you have to agree at some point that there must be a reason for why we are here, and there must be a purpose behind this whole game we called the human life or planet Earth. It can't just be a simple coincidence that we happen to be this tiny dot within the massive galaxy out there, and we just happen to be the only civilization who's experiencing this. So personally, I don't believe that is the case, that we are the only ones here doing something similar. So even if you are not following any sort of self-analysis or spiritual development methods or anything like that, I'm sure that you still have that question in your mind, like, what's the purpose of my life? Why am I
Mm.
here? To me, that is spirituality. When you start learning more about yourself and you when start playing with these bigger existential questions, and maybe you never find the answers, but at least you start playing with the whole idea and you start raising your own level of conscious thinking, and you start making decisions by becoming a lot more self-aware about your own decisions. And that's when the game changes, and it goes from just having a physical experience, and we are born, we grow up, we get educated, I don't know, we start working and we die. That can't be it. Like that can't be it. It's impossible that that's the only way why we are here. So while you have this period of time here on this physical form, you might as well use that time to explore your deeper questions and try to find some of the answers. And if you found some of the answers, share it with others, because we are all seeking and we are all looking for the answers. So that's when the connection comes into play as well, that if someone is looking to have a bit more meaning into their, adding a bit more meaning into their lives, spiritually or on a personal development level, how can I share my knowledge? How can I connect with other people as well to help all of us connect and help all of us become a little bit more self-aware? So this whole game becomes more of a spiritual game instead of just having a physical body and we are suffering, and that's not it. That's not it at all. We are here to have fun. So might as well start having fun with our business as well.
Exactly. In regards to what you're saying there, Timi, you may have come across it. Someone, I can't remember where I saw this, but we are born into this world. It's guaranteed we're going to die. Everything else in between is down to us. Everything else in between is that us to figure out and make a bigger impact in your case, or do things differently, help other people, have a good life, help your family. And so I came across a speaker not too long ago, and he said, he said, I have no fear in making money. I have no fear in running my business, making as much money and helping people charitably. I'm not worried about where the money is coming from. And you know, the one thing he said is because I have faith in something bigger than me. I have faith in God. That's what he said. I have faith in God, a source that's bigger than me. Because I have that faith, I have no fear. Now, tell us, Timi, what is the difference between someone sitting in fear and someone having faith in business?
It's a massive difference, because when everything is managed by fear, or if you're making decisions that are fear-based, they're never going to be actual decisions that will bring you real results. They might get you out of that situation temporarily, but they're not going to be generating solutions or results for you that are going to be permanently benefiting you and your business. Quick example for that, maybe you start seeing that your sales are dropping suddenly. You've had steady months, you have been growing, and then out of nowhere, suddenly your sales went down. It's a normal reaction. You're going to start panicking as an entrepreneur, obviously, and you start questioning things. But if you allow fear to take over your own decision-making process as a business owner, you're not going to be creating a smart or creative decision, because when you have that fear-based situation, you are going into panic mode. Your brain does not function properly, and you're not going to be in a position to come up with a slightly out-of-the-box solution, or you're not going to be able to see something that is innovative or visionary or something that is a little bit different, because you are panicking and you are in survival mode as a business owner, even though if it's just a little dip in your sales, but you're going to start panicking. So instead of doing that, and then you have faith in yourself, first of all, as a business owner, you don't even have to have faith in God or spirit or anything that much bigger than you, but have faith in your own capabilities as the entrepreneur, as the business owner, and know that you've got this. And yes, you've had a bit of a bump on the road, but once you truly believe in your own mission and you know why your business is there and you know the impact the business is creating, you will have that faith, and you can switch from that fear-based decision-making to faith-based decision-making when you allow all these amazing creative ideas to come to you, and you notice things from different perspectives, because you're not looking at the problem like this when you are working out of fear or being stressed or having anxiety. But when you sit back and you take a bit of a deep breath and you relax, okay, let's see how I can look at this from different perspective. You will maybe see a client who's ready to come back to you, or maybe use different or realize a new market that you haven't started working with, or you suddenly have a new partnership that you can have a joint venture with. There are so many opportunities you can notice when you are in a calmer state of mind. So in a short way, I think that's probably the biggest positives of having a faith-based sort of mindset when you are a business owner versus generating your functioning based on fear. I'm not sure if that makes sense.
No, I get it.
This for hours.
Yeah, no, I know you can. And in a moment, I do want to ask you about tell us about the work you do now and how people can get in touch with you. I'll ask you that in a moment. And you know, the thing about fear and faith, it's so, so important. And people create their own suffering and through their own resistances. And I see that all the time as a business coach. Hey, by the way, you are listening to Timi Orosz with macattram, the business coach on the Business Success Show. Now, if you like what you are hearing, smash the like buttons, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need to do. Leave a comment as well. What is coming out for you? What are you picking up here? And so that we can also bring that to light. Now, going over to Timi. Timi, tell people, you know, because you work with business owners and help them scale, but you work with purpose-driven business owners. Tell us a little about what you do, and also how can people get in touch with you or work with you or connect with you?
Yes, thank you for that. The best sort of aligned, and I highlight this as well. So I've become very selective during my time as an entrepreneur, and I recommend everyone doing the same thing. Be selective of who you work with. So the most aligned clients for me would definitely be definitely be entrepreneurs who are driven by purpose. They are driven by making an impact in our society and driven by helping humanity evolve and helping humanity grow collectively. So anyone who's into spirituality, such as they are spiritual coaches, they are energy healers, they are educators, those are the aligned clients to work with me. And what I do for them is I really help them to understand what opportunities that they are not seeing right now in their business to go from where they are right now to really start scaling and make a bigger positive impact. Because that's what happens in someone's business when you're not looking into your scaling strategies. You're actually minimizing the amount of impact your business could be making out there. And that's a different way of looking at things. And many people within the spiritual industry are afraid of monetizing their services. That's a
Why does that
big
happen?
concept.
Why does that happen?
Yeah, what I've noticed as well during the last couple of years is that a lot of people have these negative associations and their negative belief systems when it comes to thinking that passing on spiritual knowledge or helping others using spiritual skills such as guidance or healing skills, they shouldn't be charging money for it. This was something that was happening maybe 5,000 years ago, and that's how spirituality maybe evolved, but it's not relevant anymore. The same way as we are no longer just trading food with, with wheat or drinks, we are in a material world right now. That's what's happening right now. I'm sure it will change as well, maybe in 500 years, but this is the current timeline that we're experiencing. So if someone is trying to build a business using their spiritual passion and their spiritual development, it's absolutely fine to do that now, because you chose to be here now in this exact moment. And if you really didn't have to work on the material world and the material planes, you would not be here right now in this physical form. You would be, I don't know, somewhere else, maybe way into the future. So the best way, if anyone who resonates with any of this, I actually have a lot of free resources on my website, which is Connect One Marketing. And it's called Connect One Marketing because we are all connected and we are all one. So that's what we've been talking about as well. And they can just book in any sessions with me or download any of my free materials to start making a bigger impact in our world.
Superb. So that's connectonemarketing.com. Right?
That's
Fantastic.
correct.
Reach out to Timi, have a conversation. Let's see how she can help you. Now, Timi, you know, one of the questions I wanted to ask earlier on, I'll ask it now before we wrap up, is this. You're originally from Hungary. You've traveled around the world to different cities, different countries. How has that shaped you as a person in terms of your objective outlook on things? How has that shaped you, do you think?
Massively. I would say that if I was in a situation that I could make travel compulsory for everyone out there, I would so do it, because traveling to different countries, different cities, seeing different cultures really changes your own character as well, because you are going to be receiving different perspectives from different cultural traditions, or just having different type of communications with people. For example, I'm originally from Hungary. We have a very direct communication style, versus when you come to somewhere like Spain, which is more Mediterranean, it's going to be more softer. So even that is going to be very different. And that's just communication that I'm speaking about, or work ethic as well. If you are traveling and you have the opportunity to spend at least a few months in a different environment, in a different country, it really is going to have an impact on how you become more acceptive as well. I think you can be more open-minded to different perspectives, different concepts, because you are seeing new ideas around you that maybe you were having exposed to previously. So travel has played a massive role, I think, in my own personal development, and being always getting up and going to a new place and starting fresh, and building the new communities around me, and just adapting to the local culture as well. It really shapes you as a person, and
That's
it makes you
fantastic.
a lot more, yeah,
What's that?
flexible. So
11
if you
countries?
can travel, please do it.
How many countries? How many cities? Where have you been, for example?
I've lost count now, but yeah. So I lived in the UK for 10 years, so that takes up a massive chunk of my timeline. But
Uh-huh.
even there, I lived in a couple of cities, so definitely within Europe, pretty much all of the countries within Europe and the European Union, I've been to, and been to the Philippines, Sri Lanka as well, as I mentioned, and to live in cities as well. I can't even count. I think I've got it written down somewhere, so I might try
Right.
to dig that up. I did count it about a year ago or 2 years ago, so I've got it listed. But the one of the sort of biggest transformations that helped me, and it comes down to a city or a country. One of them has to be Athens in Greece. I have
Athens.
to highlight that. It was one of those inner callings that I had. I just had this feeling that I have to go to Athens. I have to go to Athens. I didn't know why, and that was the first time I traveled on my own, and probably that's why it
Mhm.
really stands out for me. And one of the most life-changing experiences for me was taking that courage and believing in myself that I can go and travel on my own for a few days and meet amazing people, and enjoy the whole experience. And when you travel alone, it's a very different experience when you are traveling with your friends or with your loved ones or with your family, because you are the one calling the shots, and you are the one who needs to find people that you're going to be having conversations with, and you're going to have to be a lot more open to what you truly want to be doing when you're in a new culture, a new city, or a new country.
That's
So if
fantastic.
anyone who's watching this, yeah, if you can travel, please do it today.
You're a living example of how people can transform their life, transform their business, live life on their terms. So on that note, I want to say, Timmy, thank you for being here on the Business Success Show to share your wisdom, to share your knowledge, to share your experience, and also to let people know that they can live life on their terms. Until we speak again, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. It was such an amazing experience. And just one last note as well, I would like to add is that I think what you are doing is massively impactful as well. So that's definitely something that is highly inspiring. And people like you are so needed in our world right now. So just keep changing lives for the better, because you're inspiring people on a larger scale. And that's beautiful.
My absolute pleasure. And yeah, let's continue doing what we are doing, because it's like you said earlier on, if you can help a lot more people live their purpose, make an impact,
Mhm.
actually changes the world, transforms the world. And that's the reason why I do what I do as well. So we have a
Yeah,
lot of synergy there. So thank you for being here.
I appreciate it. And then thank you for having me, because it was such an amazing experience. And I spoke to